Happy New Year. Wow, it's 2019. I just finished a 3 day silent retreat for New Year's, which is my new tradition. Just being on retreat, being in a sacred space with people for the new year. It's absolutely incredible. The past 2 years I've done it. 2017, I led a retreat. In 2018, I participated, and this year also participated out on Whidbey Island at this 3 day silent yoga retreat with some new teachers. It was my first spiritual real event here in the States and really ever, which is kind of incredible um, because most of that work I've done in my communities abroad, mostly in Southeast Asia. So, anyway, I wanted to share some reflections that I came away with. Um, Really being in silence, it's such a sacred container. I mean, not only do you allow your inner voice to, sorry, the reason I'm using this is because, FYI, they're attached to these. I have to get some new headphones. Oh wow, the light just changed. That was weird. These look really dorky on my head, so I'm just using the microphone part. Anyway, um, being in silence is an absolute catalyst for your inner voice to come up, your inner voice of truth. And this particular retreat was in the Hridaya style, which is a new school of yoga I wasn't yet familiar with. It focuses on the spiritual heart, which is slightly to the right of center. And we did a lot of meditating on the spiritual heart and asking the question of who am I? So looking at the witness of consciousness, looking at the one who is asking the question, which I had done before, but never really to this depth and to this extent of time and in community. So, and bringing in the new year in this space of inquiry was incredibly powerful. So, anyways, let me get to the 5 things that I learned from the retreat, and hopefully that will be of some sort of interest or help, or if anything, just maybe inspire you to go into silence for some time. Anyway, okay, so the 5 things that I learned. Clearly, succinctness is not one of them. First thing I really took away was that emotional states are fleeting and not to get attached to them. So during the time of the retreat, I I experienced emotions just like woo, 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 woo. And the thing is, I realized when we're talking about our feelings, that's when they tend to stick. So I would experience profound bliss and joy and ecstasy, and I would also experience this deep sadness and longing and feelings of different shades of feelings as well, different shades of emotions. I noticed sadness, but because I had no real reason to be feeling sadness, I was able to just sit with it and get curious. And I noticed that a lot of times our emotions don't need to have a reason. We attach them to things outside of us because we think that there needs to be a reason that we feel that way. And we think that we have to get ourselves out of it. But we don't. Words and all these things just sort of create drama in our mind. And emotional states come and go is the one thing that I took away. They're great to watch, but don't get attached to bliss or happiness any more than you get attached to sadness, or don't get positively or negatively attached to any of them. They're all just clouds. I think sometimes that emotions can be like thoughts. Um, and I notice this come up a lot because in silence, like a lot of things aren't silent happening. We'd be sitting in meditations, and let me tell you, you never get to understand the real sounds that humans make until you're in silence for 3 days with them because it's never actually silent. Human bodies make a lot of noise during times that you're really trying to focus. And the minute that you get into your meditation zone and somebody yawns or stretches or creaks or groans or burps or farts or whatever, because let me tell you, it all happened. I did it too, I'm sure. You start to notice more the bubbles come up. Anyway, let me get to number 2. Point number 2. Second thing I learned was that the right challenges find us that need to teach us. The challenges that come into our life are meant to be there for us. So I actually did a little bit of service on this retreat, and I was assigned to light the fire, light the sauna during the afternoon and evening sessions. So, the first day, the owner of the place showed me this lovely wooden sauna and how to light the fire and all of this. And I was like, great, I've got it, boom. Then we go into silence, and then I'm going out to light the fire. It turns out lighting a fire, not so easy when you haven't done it before. Now, I know I'm from the Northwest, but wasn't really a huge camper growing up. And anyway, long story short, building a fire, it wasn't the easiest thing for me. And I immediately got in my head, like once I started smushing the fire and suffocating it, and I failed, and I was just like, oh my God, people are coming out for the sauna. They're expecting it to be hot. And I felt really incompetent. And the worst part of this was my ego. All I wanted to do was explain to the retreat leaders, like, I'm not a freaking idiot. I just did this and this happened and blah, blah, blah. But I couldn't explain any of it, right? We were all in silence. Even they were in silence. It was just like silently, humbly being like, fucked it up. need help. And this happened a few times. And then finally on the last day, actually, I'm going to do a whole separate thing on fire building because that I did master the fire and that was a huge lesson. But really what I saw, like this whole fire starting metaphor turned out to be one of my greatest lessons. And I was so grateful in the end to have this challenge find me. So the right challenges find us that are meant to teach us. The third thing that I took away was really this question of who am I? Looking at the witness of consciousness, asking, okay, who am I? And then asking, who is asking the question? Who is aware that I am aware? And dancing in this question. For the sake of keeping this video somewhat short, I'll go to number 4. I really learned about the power of human connection and feeling into energy. So we were in noble silence during this retreat, which means really focusing on your internal world, not making eye contact or connecting with other people non-verbally, no notes, no hugging, no things like none of these conditioned human responses that we make, which was really helpful because you don't really realize how much in daily life we're just having automatic responses to other people. When we see someone, we smile, we say hi, it's great, it feels good, but it is conditioned. And this experience was all about bringing awareness to everything, even the positive responses that we might normally have. And so going inwards, not, spending time, like I lived in a room with 2 other people, very close proximity with zero connection, zero, like even about turning off the lights, the idea was to have minimal communication, just kind of being in your bubble. And yes, so what I learned about this was became very sensitive to other people's energy because you still feel other people. And I really kind of got to know them on an energetic level more than so it wasn't just that we took out words, we actually took out all communication, which was new for me. So I just got to feel their subtle energy body. And this other thing I learned about this was there was a few moments where we did have human connection. I mean, little connection. There was one woman, this older woman, she was so sweet. She had a beautiful energy. And there was a few times that she kind of like connected with me and she left me a little note one day that said the sauna was amazing and thanked me. And then one time we had a little hug. I don't remember what happened. Very illicit hug. We were out of the rules of the retreat, but something, I don't know what it was, but it was just so sweet. And it I felt so energized. I was like, oh my God, human I love love so much. And it was just so beautiful. So I realized that when we're deprived of human connection and we have it again, oh my God. And at the end of the retreat, being able to connect with everyone, so incredible. And yeah, so the last thing that I learned, let me see. Oh yeah. I mean, it was just really kind of what I started this video with, is that in stillness, our inner voice, it doesn't need words, it starts to speak. And I'll tell you that I tend to go into a new year with a lot of, goals and intentions and very strategic, sort of masculine, you might say, points of conduct, right? And what I realized here on this retreat, spending a lot of time in nature, a lot of walks, we had a few breaks in the day, and I would go in nature, and I just started to feel like, okay, these answers, these things would just come to me, right? One example is I completely rewrote my value system out there. It just sitting in silence one of the days, I was like, oh, my values. I haven't assessed my values in 3 years. I've been kind of operating from this same value system, even leading workshops on core values, but using kind of my old values as examples. And I just streamed them down. I just downloaded what my new value system is. And it just happened. And that's going to be a game changer for this year. I know it. It will. It is already. And, on a walk in the woods, I just suddenly, these 3 questions floated into my mind. It was like, these are the 3 questions that you're going to ask yourself every day when you wake up in the morning. What will I create? How will I serve? No, sorry. What will I create? Who will I serve? How will I love? What will I create? Who will I serve? How will I love? Those are my questions for the year. I didn't sit down and think it. That just came to me. So it was because of silence that I had the space for these intuitions to arise. Okay, this video got a little bit long, but if anything, I just wanted to wish everyone an incredible start to 2019. I really do believe in the power of collective transition and transformation, and we're stepping into a new time, an elevated, accelerated time. A lot is happening right now, and personally, I am stepping deeply into a spiritual path of service, and so you'll probably be seeing more of that here as the year goes along. So sending so much love, and talk soon.